Okay, so just to summarize, we've done hovering in all 4 orientations. We've done a box in all 4 orientations. And we've done out and back in all 4 orientations. The last out and back was the left side with a nose in landing. That's why the switchblade's facing us. So I'm going to do a nose in takeoff, and then we're going to do a little bit more fun now. Now we're going to do a box where we're always traveling nose forward. So instead of translating, we're going to rotate 90 degrees at each corner of the box. Okay, so we're going to arm it, 0 throttle, right rudder. And we're going to check our control surfaces. Very good. So we're going to take off and get into our tail end position. And then we're just going to fly a box, kind of like you would drive a car in a square. So we're going to come to the corner, rotate, rotate. Now if it gets away from you, like that one did a little bit, just be calm, don't panic. So let's simulate a gust of wind here. We're flying around, and a massive gust of wind gives us a kick. Just let it go, nice and gentle, bring it back. Might get your heart going a little bit, but you always want to remain calm with smooth motions. Okay, so we'll bring it back. And then with your nerves flustered a little bit, just continue through the exercise. Especially if you're filming, there will be times that you get flustered, so you want to be comfortable flying in that state. Okay, and again, we don't want to get stuck into one direction, so we're gonna reverse the box. That was my fault. I bumped the stick a little bit there. Okay. Okay, that was flying the box with rotations. Okay, so now that we've spent several batteries doing different orientation trainings, we got hover orientation, box training, out and back, and then flying a box with rotations. Now, once you're comfortable with those operations, you really are set up to be able to actually fly. So, let's have some more fun. 0 throttle, right rudder to arm. Check the control surfaces. Okay, so now I'm going to just try flying in a circle. I'm going to give myself a little bit more altitude. As a rule of thumb, you always want to fly 2 mistakes high. So if you make a mistake, you have time to recover. So I'm going to move it out. Try to coordinate my turn here. Just do a nice tight little circle. It's a blend of using aileron and rudder to get the circle right. You'll see if I use too much aileron, I just kind of drift along. And if I use too much rudder, I end up kind of spinning about that inside rotor. That may look kind of fun, but might make your filming viewers get nauseous. So this is just practicing the different combinations of aileron and rudder. Now if we just hold it in one spot and give it rudder, we can do what's called a pirouette. just hold it right here and give her a nice hard pirouette. Audiences really like this one. Now with the snow here, we may be able to see the rotor wash coming into ground effect. Looks like the snow is too heavy. This is where it starts to get fun. You can just fly around, experimenting with a little bit more forward momentum. And we'll go do a close-up for the stationary camera here. Doing the very large broad circles is a little more challenging and can be a little more disorienting. Okay, my timer's going off, so I'm going to put it down. And that was flying in a circle plus some miscellaneous fun. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of fun flying. So we got her armed. Check the control surfaces. I wouldn't recommend flying this close. I'm doing it mainly to get a good video, but it is not a safe distance. You want to always be at least 15 feet away. I'll do a close-up on the stationary camera here. One of the shots I've noticed people seem to really like when you're videoing from the machine is this one. Either slowly coming in on shot or kind of a dramatic takeaway. Nose in. So then get it into position here. Nose in and then just pull away. Now we are legally limited to 400 feet. Fortunately, if you're flying by line of sight like we are today, 400 feet is a very far distance. Coming up to about here, which is probably 80 or 100 feet, we can put it into loiter mode and then do a nice slow pirouette. These are great for panning shots. You stitch all those photos together and give yourself a great big 360 view from the air. Something not a lot of people get to see. We're going to take it out of loiter mode. Now you want to watch descending. If you descend vertically too quickly, you can get into your own rotor wash. Here, I'll demonstrate. And you can see it starts getting a little shaky. Okay, now we're going to demonstrate return to launch. So you can see the website and references for the switch position regarding the return to launch function, but it's going to come back to the spot you take off from. And since we're taking off from a table today, I will demonstrate the return to launch, but I will take over manual control at the last moment to ensure that it doesn't get just off the mark there. Okay, so we're going to just go out. That's far enough. I'm going to hold it there. Put it into return to launch. Now it should climb to 15 meters. And there it does. Now once it's at 15 meters, it's going to start drifting back, which it is. And then once it gets over the landing site, it'll pause for 5 seconds, and then it'll begin its descent. Once it gets a little closer, it'll start to dial in the GPS. And I'm going to take over manually here just to make sure that it lands on the table. Okay, so we are back into manual control now. Now you can imagine if that was the ground, it would simply come down and do that. And it'll bounce a couple times and the rotors will stay spinning, and then they'll shut off. Now the land function works nearly identically, it just doesn't return to the GPS home. It'll just land wherever you flip the switch at. The reason why we climbed to 15 meters is, the concern is that most people are using the return to the home function or return to launch function because they've lost it, they've lost the orientation, it's gone behind a cloud, something has gone wrong and you're trying to recover the craft. Well, we don't want to, ideally we'd climb to 100 meters and get out of the way of everything, but you may not have the battery for that. So we climbed to 15 meters, which is above most things, most buildings, all cars, things like that, and then it'll make its way back. However, there is no collision avoidance systems. If it's returning and you don't see it, if it hits something, it'll hit something. There's nothing you can do about that. So use very cautiously. This is why all the training we've been doing is in a relatively manual mode. We are in a stabilized function, which makes it easier than a standard RC helicopter, but we're not using advanced functions like loiter to move around, because loiter is dependent on GPS fix, and if you lose your GPS fix and you don't know how to fly it manually, you can get into some trouble.